Hey YouTube, Maddie's Daddy 12, Team JMT, here with a deck profile for you guys. We've all seen the trolling decks that's been coming up here recently with stuff like Chain Burn and whatnot. So this is my version of a trolling deck. It is Final Countdown. I really enjoy playing this deck. It's a lot of fun and aggravates a lot of people. So let's go ahead and get into the profile. First, 3 Final Countdown. It is the win condition of the deck, so you have to get to this card. And to make getting to that card a little bit easier, you run 3 Gold Sarcophagus, which allow you to search 2 turns added to your hand. Final Countdown, you get 20 turns. Once that 20 turn is over, if your opponent cannot reduce your life to 0 or end the game by another form, you automatically win the game. So what to remember about that is it counts your turn and your opponent's turn. So that 20 turns, your opponent actually only gets 10 turns of that. So all you really need to do is to end 10 battle phases. So that's what this deck is designed to do, is to end the battle phase. So there's your win condition. And now let's get into the rest of the deck that will end the battle phase for you. Monsters first. 3 Swift Scarecrow. Just discard this from your hand and on a direct attack, and it ends the battle phase. It negates the attack and ends the battle phase. Next, 3 Battle Fader. On a direct attack, you can drop this from your hand and negates the attack and ends the battle phase. 0 Gardna, you tribute this and you can take no damage during the turn that it was tributed. So, if you tribute this, it kind of becomes like a Wabaku, which means you're not going to take any battle damage, which means it basically ends the battle phase also. So there's 9 cards right there that can end the battle phase, and all you have to do is end 10 battle phases. Next, I run 1 Gores. I don't ever want to attack with Gores. You never want to put yourself in a position where you can attack and get him deprisoned or get him mirror forced or whatnot. Basically what I use Gores for is to just bring him out and just let him sit there and make my opponent work around him. He's not an offensive card, he is a defensive card in this deck. Once you understand that he is a defensive card for this deck, he becomes so much better. Also understand that as long as you are smart, you understand that you have 8,000 life points and you can afford to take a couple of direct shots. So just because you have to end 10 battle phases doesn't mean you can't occasionally take a shot or 2 to save your resources to make it those 10. That's the monster lineup, only 10 monsters. Let's go ahead and get into the spell lineup. The rest of the spells are 3 Pot of Duality, which of course is going to allow you to dig through your deck and grab the pieces that you need. Next is 3 Upstart Goblin. I understand you're giving your opponent 1,000 life points. However, in a game where you're counting turns and not life points, does it really matter if your opponent has 11,000? Next, 1 Day of Peace. Yes, your opponent gets to draw a card also, but this will stop their battle phase for you because they cannot deal you any damage that turn. It thins the deck and it stops the battle phase for you. 1 Reinforcements the Army. I use this card to go get 0 Gardna. Just thins the deck by 1 and gives me another option to end the battle phase. Now to the traps. 3 Thunder of Ruler. Activate this during your opponent's standby phase, and your opponent cannot conduct their battle phase that turn. Again, that just basically stops the battle phase because they can't have a battle phase. Next is 3 Threatening Roar. You activate this, your opponent cannot declare an attack. They can still have their battle phase, but they can't declare an attack during it, so what does it matter? Next is 3 Wabaku. Again, you activate this and you take no battle damage for that turn. So it pretty much ends the battle phase because you can't take any damage. Next, 3 Rainbow Life. You discard a card from your hand, and instead of any damage that you would take, you gain that instead. So if your opponent has a monster on board and attacks you, say, for 2,500, you activate this. Instead of you losing 2,500, you gain 2,500. If they have 3 more monsters, they can continue to attack you. However, you will gain that you will gain that as life points instead of take that as damage. So it pretty much ends the battle phase for you because all they're going to do is give you life instead of take it away. Last and not least, but 2 Jar Greed to round out this deck. I was running 2 Reckless Greed, but I'm not a big fan of Reckless Greed because I hate giving up my draw phase. I understand it allows me to get to all the pieces that I need, but I have to give up the draw phases to go along with it. So I'm not a big fan of that. So I decided to go with Jar Greed instead. So that is the main deck for this Final Countdown deck. Let's get into just a couple of side deck options that I use. These are not options that you have to use, but these are options that I decide to use for the tournaments that I enter in my local meta. First off, Lava Golem, because this deck will lose to Natura Beast and Natura Barkion, and if you don't have a way to get rid of those two monsters, you end up losing the game. So Lava Golem will allow you to tribute those two monsters off, give them the Lava Golem. You still have all these abilities to eliminate the battle phase, so it doesn't really matter that they have a 3,000 attack monster. And even at that, the burn damage that you give them is really not that big of a deal, because you're really looking to just end the battle phases. Next, Royal Decree will hurt this deck also, because a lot of the stuff that you use to end the battle phase is trap cards. So if you run into a Royal Decree, what you can do is side deck out all of your traps and bring in stuff like the monsters that don't die as a result of battle. Spirit Reaper, Arcana Force Zero the Fool, and Marshmallon. Again, you're not really that worried about Marshmallon's burning ability. What you want him for is the fact that he does not die as a result of battle. If they can't kill these by battle, you've pretty much ended the battle phase again. And last but not least, the spells that can eliminate the battle phase. Stuff like Swords of Revealing Light can eliminate their battle phase for 3 turns. Nightmare Still Cage, a lot like Swords of Revealing Light, just a bit smaller. Stops 2 battle phases. And in Level Limit Area B, I understand that rank monsters can get around this, but it will stop everything else that is level 4 or higher, turning it to defense, which basically stops them from being able to attack. So there you go, guys. There's my Final Countdown deck. I hope you've enjoyed it. And like always, subscribe, comment down below, show us how much you love us.